Hey guys, it's Tiny Some Logan back with another video for you. So today I get to take a look at the Corsair One. It's a fully built, complete, ready to plug in and go away operating system, the whole shebang, Corsair gaming system. Corsair are now selling complete PCs. There are a few different versions of it, but essentially the main difference between them is you get to choose between a 1070, a water-cooled 1080, and then there's a 480 gigabyte solid state drive in it, or a 1 terabyte solid state drive in it. It literally does come like this, ready to take apart, plug it in, and that's it, bosh, ready to go. Operating system on it as well, Windows 10 home. But really, I want to see, because it's meant to be itty bitty, and I want to see how itty bitty it is, and not being funny, when things are small, I don't know, they're either hot or they're really noisy, or both. So what one's this? So I don't want to get stuck doing a box opening, but we kind of have to, because it's actually a pretty funky box. Now you're not going to get yours in the massive flight case that mine arrived in, but they've put quite a bit of effort into making it look pretty, and also it's kind of giving you a little bit of drama when you make your purchase and you go to unbox it for the first time. Anyway, you pull in the little tabs here, and then the locking mechanism, we'll call it, it pulls out, and it's simple like that. But what it does is it stops you being able to pick it up for the first time. Now the first time that I did do that, and I pulled that cardboard off the top, I was amazed at the size of the one inside. And by that I mean it's a lot smaller than I was expecting. The top of the box, by the way, it literally just has some foam and stuff in it. If we take that, oh, there's a bit of weight to her, flipping heck. Okay, so inside here we have a little box, which is pretty much 2 wireless aerials and a power cable. There's nothing else inside at all. So then you are just left with this. It's not really till you get it out and you have a look at it in these dimensions. Dimensions, what am I on about? It's not like we're talking about traveling to the 6th dimension. Anyway, it's not until you get it out, I'm quite astounded how small it is, because it's 12 litres in total, which basically gives us a 16 centimetre wide footprint, so width that way. Depth, you're looking at 200 millimetres, and height, you're looking at 380 millimetres. So it's genuinely quite small. The actual footprint on the desk really isn't very big at all. And if we tip it over just so that I can get some measurements for you, although I have already given them to you, but it's just so you can get an eyeball for it. It's 18 centimetres one way, and then 200 millimetres or 20 centimetres the other way. It's genuinely tiny. It's just very tall. It's the type of thing I can imagine. Yeah, obviously it's going to look amazing on a desk, but in my front room specifically, this wouldn't be out of place down the side of my TV cabinet. It's almost got a kind of high-end, small footprint sub-feel to it in that respect. You can see the vents down the sides. Now they're on both sides here like this. Now when I first look at it, I just instantly thought that the base would have vents in as well, and it doesn't. And pretty much the reason for that is, in a crazy way, the sides are intakes and it comes out the roof. But it's not until you really dig into it you realise that this thing is quite special, is the best way I can put it. And that's because the only real proper fan in it is right at the top here. And to get to it, essentially what we do, there is a button on the side here. Now I've leaned it over just so that it's easier for me to show you on the camera and we can see what's going on. And the button does need a bit of a press, but then this top section unhooks, and where we've got it on the dolly, we can spin it around. Now essentially this comes out, and then on the other side of it there is a fan. Now I'm going to unhook the fan just so that I can show you, but there is a 140mm fan there, and that is your fan for the entire rig basically, and this draws all the air out, which then forces the air in the sides. So just to have a quick look in here, there are 4 screws, one there, one there, one there, and one there. And to remove these, it means we can take the side panels off. So with the first side unscrewed, I can give you a look at what's going on. And just by lowering the side down carefully, we get our first view. Now this is a thin, they call it slim, radiator in here, which you can see is hooked up to the AIO inside. And it does give us a very good look at the incredibly compact nature of this system. Now essentially what we've got is an MSI Z270 ITX motherboard in there, but even though we've got such tiny form factors, the 7700 is still being cooled, 7700K is still being cooled by 240mm radiator. We've got 16GB of RAM there, and it's 2400 megahertz. Now again, even though it is really tiny, with a push of a single button and undoing 2 screws, you can quite easily get in there to be able to change your memory if you wanted to upgrade. Now the system itself comes with a 960GB Corsair 2.5-inch hard drive. If you wanted to upgrade that to the MP500 M.2 Corsair drive, the only problem with this motherboard is the M.2 connector is on the back of the board itself. So if you did want to do that, it's a fairly big old strip down because everything in here is quite compact. So if you did want to upgrade the thermal paste as well, again, it's actually quite simple. We only need to undo 4 screws, and there it is. And again, even though there is ridiculous, or it takes up a ridiculous amount of room, as in it doesn't take up any, we still, there is actually quite a bit of room in around here. Now you do need to remember as well, I said to you about the single fan in the top, and that is because the air gets drawn through the sides and then out through the top. There are no fans on the AIO at all. It's convection cooling. So you've just got the radiators in the side. So the radiators are almost, they're not quite passive because you do have the active fan in the top, but you do get the idea. There's no fans bolted to the side, and that then, because there is only really 1 ml fan in the top, so I'm getting blinded by the studio lights, so where there is only 1 ml fan in the top, it just adds to the how quiet it is. When we move around to the GPU side and we drop the side off, it's very much the same thing. When it comes to the cooling, you'll find the another one of the AIOs in the side. Weirdly, the pump tops don't actually match. This, I'm going to assume, is loosely based on the H60 pump, but this one here, it looks more like the H80i or the H100i, the original one, or the H110i GT. And the reason why I say this is because we have the top on here, but there is link on it as well. So you've basically got 2 different sorts of AIO coolers on here. Again, if you wanted to, you can remove the mount, or you can remove the block here with 4 simple screws if you wanted to upgrade your thermal paste or anything like that. The cables are much tighter routed around this one, a lot more difficult for me to be able to completely disassemble, for me to be able to get these out. You can see the SATA power down on this side, and this is the link cable, but I've pulled it up and over just to be able to give you a look at what is going on under the box. And you can basically see the 1080 Seahawk there, and this is the only real active fan in the case, well, beside the one in the power supply. And that is just to keep the actual power regulators and stuff with a very small amount of active air directly over them. And then all of the cooling for the actual main GPU core is done through the AIO, which again, like I said to you, there's no active fans or anything on it. It's amazing, but to see the amount of time that must have gone into these wiring looms, where they are incredibly tidy all down the sides here. I mean, you can see the 2.5-inch hard drive hidden up this side, and it's still got what I would call a Corsair quick release on it. If we come around this side, we pull it round. You can see the SATA cable here and the SATA power, and then you've got some tabs that you can literally pop, and you can pull the solid state drive out if you want. Even though it is incredibly tiny, I would say that at least with memory, solid state drive, maybe thermal paste if you wanted to go down that route, you could easily do that at home. And it's absolutely cracking. I mean, this is the SF400 power supply, and you can see all of these cables that are in here. So we've got a 24-pin power there, we've got PCI Express power coming out there, and they've all been done in such a way that it hardly even encroaches on the motherboard. Just look at how tidily they go down the side here. The 24-pin cables here. We've got the 8-pin CPU down the bottom. Some cables actually go through to power the graphics card itself. I'm massively impressed with this. A few other things to talk about quickly. You can see that we've got a riser card here to obviously where we've got the graphics card in a completely remote place from where the actual motherboard pickup is. You can see it's all in it. Again, it's just a couple of screws. You can, if you wanted to pull that out, there are a few other ones that you need to remove to actually be able to remove the graphics card itself though, and quite cleverly as well, because the top of the graphics card is obviously up here. You can see that we do have all of the cables fitted as if there was a lot of sort of like monitor cables all fitted in the top, and that is because they're all wired up, but it's actually for the back of the system down here, so it does keep things really clean and tidy, and just, I don't know, it just feels incredibly well thought out. Okay, so when it comes to performance, with something like this, with it being a pre-build, I mean, if we were going to do it like what we would do for something like one of the system integrators, we would go and put a full batch of tests on it and run it through a load of rigs. But to me, with this, when I saw it, I was more interested in about, because let's face it, we know there's a 7700K in there, 4.5 gigahertz, bosh. But where it was so small and dinky, I was really thinking personally about temperatures. Would it be throttling? Yeah, okay, we can get some kind of base numbers out, but with a 1080 and a 7700K, you know you're going to be all right unless they've made some monumental fudge up. And that's fudge as in F-U-D-G-E, like the sweet, not any kind of naughty words. So for me, when I got on it, that was the first thing I wanted to do. And I wanted to torture the living bejesus out of it. But something that you do need to remember is that you've got the fan at the top, and that's drawing the cool air in from the sides and then brings it right the way in out the top. So for me, I was thinking, again, straight away, I was thinking that is going to be incredibly noisy, because you would assume that with only a single fan, it's going to have to work really hard to keep everything cool. Well, it was so quiet that I was just kind of a bit concerned with it, really. I was just like, that's not the only fan in there. They've got to have fans somewhere else. Yeah, but they don't. So essentially, I went to absolutely all-out abuse to see what would go on. Now we need to remember it's convection cooling as well, so the fan isn't even directly contacted or connected. So I went on the CPU first, because to be fair, I know the AIO on the GPU should be alright. So I went to torture the CPU. Now the CPU is the warmest part of your rig, my rig, this rig, everyone's rig. So with this, it was under a heck of a lot of stress because I use OCCT. Now with OCCT, if you go onto the LinPack tab, then you can set up how long you want to test it for, but there's a button on it, and it's the AVX button. Now if you've got a hyper-threaded CPU like this, you want to tick the use all logical cores, but the AVX button is basically the difference between whipping someone for the duration of the test, and then if you add AVX, it's like whipping someone for the duration of the test while there's someone chucking TCP and salt on them continuously as well. It's an absolute monsterly horrific torture test, really. And really, if you want to stress your system within an inch of its life and make it work absolutely nuts, OCCT is what you want to use. So that's what I did. Now, you would think, because I'm going to tell you, the CPU got to 90 degrees. Now, you would say that is hot. And I did say that was hot as well. So I said to Corsair, seems a bit warm. And they went, yeah, we designed it to go up to about 100. If it goes over 100, then you need to let us know. So I was like, but it's 90 degrees. And they went, did it make any noise? And I was like, no. No, it didn't. Not really. And they went, it's doing its job then, isn't it? Because they've designed it to be ridiculously quiet. So if you did want to crank the fan up, then, you know, yeah, fair enough. But we do need to remember in this day and age, I mean, when we talk about we prefer to have 80-degree temperatures, and we need to, and that is fair enough, because I am one of those people. That is all well and good, but I was absolutely kicking the CPU in the gonads with this. And I mean absolute torture test. If you turn that AVX off, however, 70 degrees. And if you were running games, I did Unigine overnight, I may add. And when I run Unigine Valley, I turn it on to 4K for the resolution with 8 times anti-aliasing. And I basically left the office 8 PM one night, came back in at 10 o'clock the next morning because, you know, went to the cafe, had a bacon sandwich. Wasn't in any rush. And anyway, I got in. The room was quite nice and warm because it had obviously been looping Unigine for all that time. And then the CPU was 64 degrees. And GPU, 56 degrees. So after what could be a 4K gaming session, constant, overnight, with no breaks, we ended up with a 56 degrees GPU and a 60 odd degrees, 64 degrees CPU, which then as well, it really wasn't making a massive amount of noise. I did hear the fan because I walked into, other than this system, it was a silent room. But if you turned even the radio on or some music on your phone, it would have pretty much drowned out the fan noise. And that is something about this I cannot quite fathom. Now, don't get me wrong, it wouldn't be the type of machine that I would be looking at to render videos on continuously or do 3D modeling or, you know, or anything like that. It's pretty much an epically quiet, sleek looking gaming rig. So if you keep that in mind and you are just going to absolutely pummel it with all the latest AAA gaming titles, it's not only going to be cool, but it's going to be quiet. And to be honest with you, I think that's going to make you look like a bit of a connoisseur as well. Weird. So we did run some tests anyway. So Valley, it was on the 4K test. It was 34.5 frames per second with 1,444 points. And just to reiterate, it was 64 degrees on the CPU after that monstrous Valley test with 56 on the GPU. And then we did the new superposition Unigine as well, and that was a score of 6,672. Now you need to remember this is the top end £2,200 version. So we've got the water-cooled 1080, we've got the water-cooled CPU, we've got a 960GB hard drive. They do a slightly cheaper one with a 480GB hard drive, and then they do another one, which is cheaper still, which is £1,800. And basically you get everything apart from you get a non-water-cooled GTX 1070 in the GPU side, down the side here. But you can see that there would still be ample room for that graphics card to be able to breathe. And then in the top, it's just going to be blowing past, let's face it, the cables that you would have been running anyway. And if you want to get really funny about airflow and stuff like that, you can basically choose the cable connectors in the back that you're going to actually use, and you could disconnect the other ones in the top. To say that, I mean, not being funny, when something like this turns up, I was incredibly skeptical. It's one of the reasons why I asked them if I was allowed to strip it down and have a look at it, because I wanted to look at the cable tidying. I wanted to see how things were, and I'm glad I did, because it won me round. So the long and short of it is, when you say £2,200 outright on a Corsair product, it is eye-wateringly expensive. But when you say the spec list out loud, 1 terabyte hard drive, 1080, 7700K, ITX board, custom built, custom made, do you know what I mean? It's, well, maybe not custom made, but you get the point I'm making, that it's a full entire system in such a small footprint that doesn't make any noise. When you kind of add it all up, it's not too bad. Now, yes, I know people are going to be going now, and they're going to be going to Amazon, and they're going to be going to Newegg, and they're going to be going to OC UK in the UK. They're going to be adding up the price of all the different bits and thinking that they can make one themselves. Well, for you people, that is entirely right. You can. You could go and do that. Go and make one yourself. It will be in a different case. It's going to have more than one fan, or it's not going to cool as well. There's going to be lots of things that you're going to be taking little side steps on, or slight downgrades on, and that's all well and cool. It's obviously not for you. Not a problem. But if you're looking for an ITX rig, or something very, very small but very powerful yet ridiculously quiet as well, I genuinely cannot think of anything that even comes close to this from what I've seen on the market. And I will say as well that if they either A, make a white one, I'll buy it, or B, if they want to lend me one for a year or so, then I'll make a white one myself and I'll use it, because I think this is epic. Absolutely gobsmackingly epic. Now, it's not very often I hand out 2 awards, and I've saved it to the end to kind of shock you all as well, because I'm not going to only give this the OC 3D Innovation Award, but I'm also going to give it the Exceptional Aesthetics Award as well, because I am well and truly one of its fans. I think it's amazeballs. So I would love to hear your thoughts of the Corsair One in the comments underneath, or you can go to the OC 3D forums, where you can have a good chat with all us and the rest of me and all the rest of the members about it as well. But it's a thoroughly deserved one, Corsair. You won me over. Won, as in W-O-N, not O-N-E. The one won me over. There you go, there's your quote. The one won me over. I just need to stop. I love it. Let me know what you think. This has been Tiny Tom Logan with a rather chilled review of the Corsair One, which has just won the the Innovation Award and the Exceptional Aesthetics Award as well. I can't get over how much I can just spin that around. I love it. Anyway, this is me, gone.